Welcome. Thanks for being with us. We continue on our series, Feel Better Fast and Make It Last. And we've gone through our brain Excel formula. You got to get your brain right, and then your rational mind right, and then your attachments. And we're going to talk about inspiration. And talking about inspiration, I am here with Tana, who inspires me every day in so many ways. And your reviews, when you write a review of the podcast, it inspires us.
We read them. It also helps us because we know what you guys want to hear, and we like doing that. So I want to read this one. This is from Kindred Spirit. Love, love, love your podcast. I listen regularly on my commute to and from work. I've been a fan ever since the Daniel Plan, so long time. Ever since the Daniel Plan came out, and I Googled you to see just who Rick Warren was. So they started listening to the Daniel Plan without even knowing who Saddleback Church or Rick Warren was. And was keeping company with. Big fan of Daily Hope also. I get your regular emails as well. So much appreciate the good advice and great information. I share much information with my human AP students during our nervous system unit. That's awesome. I really appreciate reinforcement of basic concepts I've preached for 3 decades, as well as the newer modern info that is not in the textbook yet. Keep doing what you do. You are changing lives for the better. Awesome. Thank you so much.
I love that.
Yeah, me too.
So in this week, we are going to talk about an area of your brain that's so important and it just doesn't get any respect. It's called the nucleus accumbens. The nucleus accumbens. What's that? It's a little pleasure button in your brain. You have 2 of them. And when you push on them, you feel happy, driven, motivated. You're going to do it again. And it works on a neurotransmitter called dopamine, but you don't want to push that thing too often. Otherwise, you wear
Well, and we write
out.
a lot about this. This is precisely why food is addictive. It's precisely why, certain things become addictive, like video games and stuff like that. So it's because of this little nucleus accumbens thing and what happens to it when you do certain things.
Well, interesting. There's a book on this, on how the Silicon Valley steals your mind. And the book,
And the food companies have known about it for a very long time.
and the book is called Hooked. And it's how to create addictive products. And so our iPhones or your Samsung phone is totally addictive. And it was purposefully made that way, so it's constantly stealing your attention. But we're going to protect your pleasure centers so that you can live with passion and purpose and avoid addictions and depression. And passion and purpose is associated with so many good things.
Like longer life
Like
and happier life.
longer life, better sleep, self-love, personal growth, more happiness, less depression. It's also, purpose has been associated with mental sharpness, less risk of Alzheimer's disease, and slower decline with
Isn't that interesting?
age.
That's so interesting.
And here at
Lower
Amen
risk of
Clinics,
Alzheimer's disease because you're purposeful. That's
because
fascinating.
you're purposeful.
That's just fascinating.
It gives you a reason to get up in the morning. It gives you a reason to eat right. It gives you a reason to do the right thing. And here at Amen Clinics, we have our purpose statement. We want to change how psychiatric medicine is practiced by 2024 by adding imaging. We talk about that on the podcast. Natural ways to heal the brain in a personalized medicine context.
Yeah, and in a like on a very personal level, and I know some of you will relate to this if you are parents or you've got parents that you take care of, things like that. Because I've got a daughter, right, that's underage, and I often there's this little bit of worry in the back of your mind that you need to take care of yourself because you've got this person you have to take care of, and that's always been there for me from the minute I became a mom. How I take care of myself completely changed the minute I became a mom. And then it got worse the day she walked in the kitchen and said, I have a goal for you. You have to live to be 100. I'm like, why? You can't give me that goal. But she worries about something happening to me. And now all of a sudden it's a worry, but it's not necessarily a bad worry. Because what I find is even though it's annoying that she did that, I find myself, even when I don't feel like getting up and exercising, even when I don't feel like eating something healthier, I feel like going and having something that isn't good for me, that little voice her little voice in the back of my head going, I need you. You need to be here, is just always there. And that's purposeful, right? That's purpose.
And so few people actually think about that children do what you do, not what you tell them to do. So are you modeling health or are you modeling illness? So getting in touch with your purpose is so important.
Well, and just being here till I'm 100, if I am a complete burden to her, is not helpful.
Well, and you had her a little bit later, so she's
Right.
only going to be like, what, if you're 100,
I was
she's
35.
65.
Right.
And you totally want to see what kind of adult she's going to be. I mean,
Right.
she's an awesome teenager. So where does passion and purpose live in the brain? And so we talked about the nucleus accumbens. There are also deep structures in your brain that you need to keep healthy, because the areas that produce dopamine and respond to dopamine, when they die, you end up with Parkinson's disease. You end up with movement disorders. You end up with depression. So you want to protect your pleasure centers.
Yeah.
So now I've mentioned dopamine. It doesn't mean you're a dope. It's a very important neurotransmitter that is involved with pleasure and happiness and joy and reward and motivation and focus. It also smooths motor movements. And it is incredibly important. And the nucleus accumbens, that's where cocaine works.
Right.
That's where smoking
Sugar,
works.
fat, and salt.
That's where sugar, fat, and salt work.
Food companies
And-
figured that out a long time ago.
And which is why when something awesome happens, you jump when you get excited, or you freeze when you get scared, because it's messing that part, or you get crazy. Like Tana is totally
Go a
gets
little psycho.
a little psycho.
Getting scared is not a good thing.
When dopamine is too low, people get depressed. You think of people with Parkinson's, they often get depressed. They have apathy, low energy, they don't focus very well, and they can have tremors. When dopamine is too high, so think of that hit of cocaine that's excessive, anxiety, agitation, aggression, obsession, confusion, racing thoughts. And what I argue
So wait, let me clarify this. Are you trying to say that the fight or flight response is connected to dopamine being too high or too low?
Well, it can be similar to that, but that's actually not dopamine, that's adrenaline. So adrenaline, if you get scared,
Right.
your eyeballs, your iris gets big, your heart rate goes fast, your hands get cold. So that's different. Then we're on a different system
all right.
a little bit. But I want to just go over the addiction cycle. So you engage in actions that increase dopamine. And it could be you're on Tinder or you're on Match and you go, whoa, I like that. And so you feel high or you feel pleasure.
And didn't someone study this and people who didn't do well on those sites got depressed?
That's right. I
Interesting.
did.
Oh, you.
Dr. Oz and I
someone
did.
did.
Someone did, yeah. My husband.
Like, why
but
are you
who
studying
knows?
Tinder?
Not
are you doing studying
it for
Tinder?
myself.
Yeah,
trust
that would
me.
be really bad for flight or fight response. You would be flying, I'd be fighting. So.
That's back to the addiction cycle, my daily threat of my life.
Gives me my dopamine.
There's something to that. So you engage in actions that increase dopamine. You threaten your husband's life. You feel high or pleasure when you do that. Then, when dopamine wears off, you feel withdrawal, flat, or depressed. So you re-engage. So the next day you threaten me again in dopamine-producing behavior, even if it's bad for you.
It's not bad for me, though.
So let's go with cocaine. Feel high or pleasurable, but when it wears off, you feel withdrawal, flat, or depressed. You re-engage, use cocaine again, and you feel better, but the more you do it, when you dump dopamine, we're going to talk about that, you actually begin to wear out the nucleus accumbens. So what that means, it takes
like overworking a muscle.
more and more
Right.
in order to get the same response. And that's the cycle of addiction.
Right.
And so how you break it is you don't dump dopamine, you drip dopamine. And you have to take care of your pleasure centers. And people who are obese, their pleasure centers are not responsive. So, if you don't eat a lot of cake and donuts and brownies and really high fat, high salt, high sugar foods, you protect your nucleus accumbens.
Yeah, and
so
then
if
you
have
notice
a little,
when you have a bite of something, you're like, "Ew, that's really sweet."
Right.
But if you don't, then it's like takes more and more.
And so when we come back, we are going to teach you how to take care of your pleasure centers so that you can feel better fast and make it last. And if you go to feelbetterfast.com and pre-order the book, we have all sorts of gifts for you. Stay tuned. Use the code podcast10 to get a 10% discount on a full evaluation at amenclinics.com or on our supplements at brainmdhealth.com. Thank you for listening to the Brain Warriors Way podcast. Go to iTunes and leave a review, and you'll automatically be entered into a drawing to get a free signed copy of the Brain Warriors Way and the Brain Warriors Way cookbook we give away every month.